Thanks all for coming. I'm only going to read one poem today. I've read a couple of times recently, and I'm getting tired of them. And frankly, it's been like since the Kana massacres, I just haven't been able to write any poetry. So I brought in a couple of prose pieces that I have written since, and that I've written since the ceasefire. So they are more timely, and so is this discussion. As we were having our own little side discussion earlier, and it seems that everyone in Lebanon is worried that the worst is yet to come. So, and I'll be addressing that shortly. I'll start with the poem. It's called Looking Through Your Eyes. I wrote it in the middle of what was happening. It hit me to try to imagine the war through the eyes of the person I was sharing it with. My partner had visited Lebanon the summer before, and for the first time, and now I'm glad that he did. So this is addressed to him. I remember seeing it through your eyes, my country, as for the first time. The tight, colorless streets where I grew up, choking with people, now covered with a dust sinful as only humanity is. I remember looking up as you raised your head at buildings that resembled pockmarks on the face of God. They now rest in pieces on the streets, and the face of God is nowhere to be seen. I remember meeting my family and you, sprawling, loud, and insuppressible, spreading over the table like a headache that shouldn't be cured. Now the table lies naked, all the colors of the vegetables turned black, even the flies recoiled. I remember climbing the shoulders of the mountain, the plain spreading behind us, patchy and still, and the valley around the corner, yawning wide like the mouth of heaven. Now it doesn't shed a tear for us. It had been there when it all began, when men fell from grace and ate each other. The next piece is I wrote it as a comment on a post that a fellow blogger of mine wrote about the last day before the ceasefire, and it was the grand finale. It seems both sides wanted to just get it all out of their system before they had to stop. So it's about the night before then. That same night, they bombed the mosque at the cemetery at the end of our street in the southern suburbs, where my grandma is buried. I have never been happier that she's already dead. So much for rest in peace. No wonder my mother and sister are starting to think they can feel her ghost sitting by their side on the bed in the mountains. Must have taken her a week or two to walk up there. In their hurry, people always leave the dead behind. That night, they also created some new tenants for the cemetery, right from the buildings next door, though they have to dig them out of the rubble still. 40 of them, my sister said. Yesterday, my mom opened her pharmacy again, at the other end of the same street. Not all the neighbors or employees are bad, but those there were happy to get some long-needed pills. Today, I heard the reporter on the radio saying that the southern suburbs smelled old, like an abandoned house, or a woman by the side of the road. And this next piece I wrote after my friends arrived here, and we were at this outdoor concert in Chestnutville, and I just couldn't get beyond the disconnect of the serenity and the idealism of what we were living, and the alternate reality that was happening at the same time in Lebanon. willing life back to normal. It's been strangely quiet in here, in my mind. I've been trying to will life back to normal, trying to shed the rigorous routines I've acquired in the past month. Exhaustion is evident in those around me, those that have been touched, even from a distance. My words seem trite and packaged to me. I feel like a news agency repeating the same tired script. There's a strange quiet, a tangible vacuum in me. I want to pretend that this never happened, and it's easier for me to do so here in Philadelphia. This is strangely reminding me of when my grandmother died. I wasn't there. Her death was sluggish to materialize. It took my going back home to my grandparents' house a year and a half later for it to get closer to home. But even then, she was simply strangely absent, like she just stepped out to get a bundle of bread and took a bit longer to return. Even seeing her grave didn't help that much in making it any more real. There was a marble slab with her name on it, her first name, which I never used anyhow, just a name and dates. But she wasn't there. I couldn't imagine her below, just like it was difficult to believe her to be dead. Her smell wasn't there, nor her ragged day dresses. There was just a strange absence, and nothing could be less tangible. And here, I have only pictures, and voices, and words. There's the rubble, and here's my adamantly self-protective mind that wants to forget about it. And here's my world that is more than happy to conspire with me on pretending it never happened. Here's the concert in the park we went to last night, the refined string music, and the malevolently oblivious kids running around the pond. Here's the civilized culture that pretends it never killed anyone, never paid for massacre. I never paid for massacres. It is easier to pretend that we're civilized when listening to violins in the night. It is too easy. I keep replaying old stale songs to remind me that this isn't it, that life is happening elsewhere, that life stopped elsewhere. But the songs with faded lyrics can barely compete with Bach. It is too easy to pretend we're civilized with Bach. Yes, this is peace, this is serenity, this is affluence and plenitude laying here on the impeccable grass, pretending that it costs nothing. There's the rich of Chestnut Hill calling for someone to give their meals on wheels to. I pretend to forget my sister's message about the 500 or 5,000 that were stuck underground somewhere in the south of Lebanon without food for days. Or the report about the people that had to drink from puddles of collected rainwater that was closer in consistency to mud and had started greening already with algae. I pretend that this has never happened before elsewhere and will never happen again. I pretend that this is all there is, this concert, the good food, and my strangely silent company. Mazen's mother's birthday was weighing on his mind and on ours. He was supposed to be with her for it in that world before any of this happened. There was the peace my mother believed in that world, the life as it was happening before. There was life as I remember it too vividly, as I try to will it again. The life with its infinite small details that have become strangely irrelevant now. And there's the silence, this unrelenting silence in my mind that gets quickly filled at the first thought of words with old fragments of song, of Fairuz wailing, Ya Natrin al-Thalj ma 'ad badkum tarja'u. You waiting for the snow, don't you want to come back?